In the NBA, guys get a reputation. Teams will say, he can't do this. He doesn't help us win. And they'll forget about him. But with Rudy Gay, we didn't do that. We embraced Rudy. We had him come off the bench as our sixth man. We put the ball in his hands, and we said, Rudy, do your thing. Shoot it. Lead us to the promised land. And he was fantastic off the bench for us. We loved him, and I was prepared to offer him a lot of money this offseason to continue what he was doing, but unfortunately, he just didn't love us back. He's testing his value in free agency, and so it seems that the Rudy Gay days in Sacramento are done. We did not help ourselves by being under 500 at the trade deadline. And so now, we have to trade him. We have to say, Rudy, it was fun, but you gotta go somewhere else. We have to get something for him. And so as great as Rudy Gay was for us in this short little stint, it's time to say goodbye. Man, this sucks, dude. I actually wanted to keep Rudy. He was killing it for us. But if he wants to go, he wants to go, so we gotta trade him. And if we look at this team, I think it would make the most sense if we acquired a wing, probably a small forward for him, perhaps someone we could embrace into the future. But Rudy is an interesting situation because he has 1 year left, and if we look at, what he likes, he wants to be on a winning team. So perhaps there is a winning team at the moment that he would be willing to re-sign to that has a wing that we could really take in and become a player for us. Well, the very first one, if we go to the Portland Trail Blazers, Allen Crabbe, who makes a hell of a lot of money, but it could work because we could throw Rudy as well as Anthony Tolliver in the move, so the salaries don't really change up that much. Crabbe would give us three-point shooting, as well as being better defensively than Rudy. Not a lockdown defender, but someone who could grow on that side of the floor. Plus, he's only 24 years old, so he has a lot of time to improve. But the thing that's really interesting is he's not actually starting for the Trailblazers. He's playing behind Evan Turner off the bench, so I feel like he could be expendable, but not only that, he's actually playing like absolute crap this year, which, to be honest, runs a bit of a risk for us. But at the same time, it seems like it would make sense for the Blazers to move him in that sort of situation, don't you think? I think Crabbe could be a nice small forward for us. Here's another one for you. If we go to the Toronto Raptors, who are one of the best teams in the league, holy crap. What about Norman Powell? Technically a shooting guard, but he can play small forward as well. Seems like with a little bit of seasoning, he could really grow into a quality shooter as well as defensive player. He's already pretty decent right away, and given that DeMar DeRozan is the 2, but also Terrence Ross is the starting 3, I don't agree with that one whatsoever, but if that's what Toronto's doing, then, well, I guess it makes him expendable, I would imagine. And Norman Powell has shown a lot of good signs for the Raptors, perhaps given a starting role for us, he could really take off. Because we definitely need to improve defensively, especially on the wings, because Matt Barnes is like 500 years old. So those are 2 names right there for you, Allen Crabbe and Norman Powell. But here's a third one, and this one is the most interesting in my opinion. Andre Robertson of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Just like the last 2, not starting, Kyle frickin' Singler is starting at the 3 for OKC. I don't know, man. But Rudy could help them right now. They are a winning team too. And Robertson is one of the best defensive players in the league, of course. And he could be our real shutdown defender, going up against the other team's best player night after night. He's also extremely athletic, which allows him to zip up and down the floor, which would help us. The only thing is that outside shot. If his outside jumper could become at least decent, and we would have to put in some serious work, but it is possible, he could be the best option for us long term. He also makes like pennies compared to what Rudy Gay makes in terms of their contracts. What's interesting with Robertson though is he's a smart offensive player. He's pretty decent when it comes to finishing around the rim, and he's pretty efficient overall. He also has shown some signs to be a passer. We would have to also get him in the gym on his playmaking, but he has the foundation already of someone who can be a playmaker for us. So if we could get that outside shot as well as the passing to improve for Robertson, he could be the best option for us. But that outside jumper, it is definitely going to be a bit of a struggle, especially if we have both him and Willie Cauley-Stein in the starting lineup at the same time. That could be tough, at least right away. But at the same time, can you picture a starting lineup with both Robertson and Willie Cauley-Stein running up and down the floor? We'd be one of the most athletic teams in the league with just those two. But here's another one for you. Taurean Prince of the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta needs some more offense. I think Rudy Gay could help them out really well. They also have Millsap and Dwight Howard to play defense, so hopefully Rudy wouldn't hurt him too much on that side of the floor. Taurean Prince seems like a 3-and-D player who's also decently athletic. He could be interesting, but I think he would be the farthest away from all the other guys here. But I think we could also get a first-round pick from Atlanta in this move as well, so it depends. What would you value more? Would you value Taurean Prince and a first-round pick? Or Norman Powell, or Allen Crabbe, or Andre Robertson by themselves? And I don't really want to trade Rudy, but we're pretty much forced to do it. So I think these are a few options. If you have a suggestion, of course let it be known. Don't say Avery Bradley, because we're not going to do that. But remember, it has to be on a winning team, because Rudy will only re-sign with a winning team. Unfortunately, we got to trade Rudy Gay. I didn't want to, which is ironic based on the beginning of this series. Oh, and by the way, Aaron Aflalo is still injured. So if we're going to trade him for a first-round pick, it's not going to be until the offseason. So